This video is brought to you by Turo. Disney has unfinished business because they made some really big, really bold promises at the last D23.
We are building a villain's land at the Magic Kingdom. This isn't blue sky. We are gonna do all of this.
And this D23 is a chance for them to keep their promises. And as someone who professionally obsesses over what Disney's planning for the future, here's what I think Disney will actually announce. Both for every project we already know about, and what surprises could be in store, like which classic rides are due for a total reinvention, what free-roaming robots we could see in the parks next, and which destination is most likely to get that rare new park announcement. Hi, I'm James Grosh from Guide to WDW, and last year I made too many predictions for Destination D23. And this year, I have not learned my lesson. I'm not only making even more predictions, but I'm going bigger and bolder. This year's D23 takes place on August 14th through 16th. It's Disney's biggest fan event, but if you're watching Guide to WDW, the evening of August 15th will be of particular interest, because that's when Neil Patrick Harris will host Horizons, Disney's Experiences Showcase, which promises to dig deeper into the ambitious projects announced in 2024, with a few surprises along the way. And the whole thing will be themed to Carousel of Progress. Interesting. So that's what we're going to do here. Dig into the current status of everything announced at last D23, and make some wildcard predictions for what surprises could be in store. And maybe Uncle Orville will chime in from time to time.
No privacy at all around this flight.
So let's start where it all started, at Disneyland in Anaheim. There are three major projects here that are currently underway at California Adventure. First, the Avengers Campus expansion with Stark Flight Lab and Infinity Defense. And construction is well underway. I'm making three predictions for updates here. I think we get a deeper look at Infinity Defense from a technological level, maybe talking about the 3D tech used here. Last year, Disney announced that the company Liminal Space was part of its Disney Accelerator program, and that company specializes in holographic 3D LED display tech that is brighter and crisper than traditional 3D displays, with a much stronger pop-out 3D effect. And in last year's Accelerator Demo Day video, several Imagineers talk up its wonders, saying it's the type of thing you have to see to believe.
There's a lot of things that are exciting about liminal space. I think if we start out with just the quality of the visuals, it is bright, it is crisp. I'm seeing details in this footage that I've never seen before.
That feels like tech Disney will be deploying in the park soon, and Avengers Infinity Defense seems like a perfect fit for it. And tech like that would really showcase why this is the e-ticket level Marvel ride Disneyland has been waiting years for. 2, I think we'll get some kind of high-tech Marvel character. Either Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man in next-gen animatronic form. RDJ is the godparent of the Disney Adventure, and he's confirmed to be involved with Avengers Campus. So he loves Imagineering 3000. The other character I'm hoping for is King Thanos, using the exoframe tech Disney originally tested out with Hulk, and then really refined with the Titans on the Hercules show on the Disney Destiny. I have a whole deep dive video on this channel breaking down why that tech is so cool, featuring interviews with the Imagineers who developed it. My third prediction is that they will announce an opening timeframe for this expansion, and I'm guessing it will be earlier than people think. Last year I pegged it at late 2027 because it tracks from when they broke ground, and it would line up with Avengers Secret Wars. So I'm gonna stick with that. Next project is the Coco boat ride announced for California Adventure, and it's currently under construction by the pier. I think we'll see some animatronics that will be in that ride, and I think at least one of them will be a next-gen animatronic. My gut feeling says that Disney will show off a few different instances of this tech. And for some reason, Disney seemed really interested in testing an animatronic that could transform into a skeleton at Disneyland, so a Miguel figure that could do that would make sense. I also think this is opening next year. Then there's Avatar at DCA. There's been a lot of buzz that this got cancelled after Fire and Ash's relatively soft box office and Mike and Sully's closing date getting delayed from 2026 to 2027. But this cancellation rumor seems to be based just on a few tweets and the vibes. And yes, Fire and Ash underperformed compared to the first two Avatar movies, but it still made almost $1.5 billion, which is a pretty good way to flop if you ask me. Maybe the land's location has changed, but my prediction is that we'll get confirmation that this project is still happening, and we'll get confirmation about the ride system, which is rumored to be the same rotating boat system from the Shanghai Pirates. So that's a lot of California Adventure. What about Disneyland? There's a rumor that Galaxy's Edge will get a new interactive drink cart. That seems fun, but I think there's something much bigger in store for Disneyland. Last year, I predicted that we wouldn't hear anything about a Tomorrowland refresh at Disneyland, but I think this year is the year. This is the first D23 with Josh D'Amaro as CEO. And if you think about it, he's actually in a weird position. 2024 was the year where so many brand new lands and attractions were announced. You can't feasibly keep going to that well every single D23. 2024 was a once-in-a-decade kind of deal, but you can update things that are already there. And announcing some updates that fans have been begging for decades is a good way to start off your tenure as CEO with a win with the fans. It buys a lot of goodwill. Tomorrowland is by far the land that is in most need of an update at Disneyland.
So as our friend Rafiki would say, it is time.
So what will this look like? I have 3 predictions here, each getting more exciting. First, Buzz Lightyear will get the same kind of update that they just had in Magic Kingdom, updating the scoring system to be powered by Unreal Engine, haptic feedback, updated targets. Buzz at Magic Kingdom is now so much better, and bringing those updates to Disneyland is an easy win. Next, the Carousel of Innovation's launch bay building has been really underutilized for way too long, and it's prime real estate. Now, what do you put in there? Since Disney World announced its complete overhaul of Carousel of Progress, there's been a fan campaign to put the 1964 version of the ride back in Disneyland, and the park showcase is themed to Carousel of Progress. As a parks history nerd, I love this idea. Do I think Disney will actually do it? No. But they need to do something there. And then finally, they need to restore the People Mover. Even just doing that would be such a huge win for Disneyland. So I don't know what shape it will be, but I am predicting a new tomorrow for Tomorrowland. And speaking of Disneyland, I will be going there when I fly in for D23. I'm really looking forward to it. But what I wasn't looking forward to was renting a car. At least until now. So this is a great time to tell you about today's sponsor, Turo, which kind of sounds like churro. Turo is the better way to rent whenever you need a car. And honestly, Turo's kind of the car renting experience from Tomorrowland. Instead of standing in a long line at the rental counter hoping there's something left on the lot, with Turo I can choose the exact car I want, pick it up where it's most convenient for me, and keep it for as long as I need. And booking it is genuinely easy. I type my location into the search bar, filtered for exactly what my family needs, the right size, enough seats, and booked the actual car I'm getting, not a mid-size or similar mystery. And this is my favorite part, you can also have it delivered to your home or hotel, saving you time and making things super convenient. I actually just got back from a summer road trip to Disney World, and that's exactly how we kicked it off, by getting a minivan that my wife was very excited about delivered to our house. And then we just drove to Orlando. For anyone traveling soon for summer, Turo is available at over 170 airports across the US and Canada. So next month when I fly for D23, I step off the plane and walk right to my car instead of the counter. So this summer, rent a summer-ready car, not a rental car. Scan this QR code or use my link below to check out Turo for your next trip. And maybe that next trip will take you on a Disney cruise. So let's get back to the predictions with DCL. At last D23, Disney announced a major expansion of the fleet.
We're adding 4 more cruise ships to our fleet.
And we know what the next ship is called, the Believe. That's the 4th Wish-class ship that debuts late next year. And I believe we'll have 1 or 2 meaningful updates about the Believe, like the bow and stern characters, a look at the Grand Hall and statue, or the original show that will debut on the ship. For a wild card, I think they might announce a new itinerary or themed sailing for one of the current ships. At Disneyland Paris, Disney Adventure World just opened. I went, they completely reinvented the park. You can check out the full video on my channel. But last D23 promised a Lion King land, which I saw the construction for. Disney's been sharing lots of updates for this, so I think we'll see more of the log flume ride. Also, Paris is close to Disney's Zurich Robotics Lab, so I think we may get a new type of robot here. I have predictions on new robots coming around the world later in the video. Now, Disney Adventure World has room for another expansion, which has been heavily rumored to be Avatar because of behind-the-scenes codenames. I've also seen Zootopia bandied about, but honestly, I'm really pulling for a different themed land, because both Frozen and Lion King are fictional worlds that take heavy inspiration in real-world locations. And there's another Disney property that fits that mold and the theme of adventure perfectly, Moana. Now, I don't think that will be announced here, but that would be my wildcard prediction for Paris. And for Disneyland Paris Park, it's been so long since a new attraction has opened there. The last completely new ride in that park is Buzz Lightyear from 2006. So I'm just rooting for anything new for Disneyland Paris. Hong Kong Disneyland has a Spider-Man/Avengers Tower of Terror style drop ride. And Shanghai has a Spider-Man Land with a roller coaster. I think we'll get some Spidey updates, maybe a look at the ride vehicles or something Tom Holland is doing for the rides. But Shanghai also had a very juicy rumor just a few weeks ago. Just in June, Forbes reported that Disney was going to imminently announce the development of a second theme park in Shanghai, possibly at the park's 10th anniversary event. That announcement didn't happen, but maybe they're just saving it for D23. Shanghai Disneyland has been extremely successful. It's now Disney's highest earning international theme park, and there's been some leaked artwork floating around, so there's definitely a lot of smoke here to this rumor. D23 seems like a big enough stage to announce a new park, but also this will be a very American-centered audience. I think a second park is happening in Shanghai, but my gut is leaning towards it being announced later when it can have the entire spotlight. But this is the only new park announcement that I think is even in the realm of possibility, so maybe. And I'm not really expecting any news from Tokyo or Abu Dhabi here because Disney doesn't outright own those parks. Now we get to Disney World, and if you want the inside scoop on what Disney announces and what it means for the future of the parks, get subscribed, because I will be at D23 covering the news as it breaks.
No.
Thanks, Orville. Let's pick up where D23 left off. Tropical Americas is set to open in 2027, so I think we'll get a lot of very specific updates here. First, the Encanto ride. If you've been to Animal Kingdom lately, you can see the show building right now, and it's absolutely massive. This bad boy can fit so many drawers, floors, and doors. This is a substantial original dark ride in a way that we haven't really seen Disney do for one of its animated films in a very long time. I'm really excited, and not just because I've seen Encanto roughly 1,000 times thanks to my daughter, but this has a lot of potential. But there's a lot that's unknown. So here's what I predict. I think we'll get a confirmation on the ride system, a look at the animatronics, and a few more of the scenes from the ride. For Indiana Jones, similar to Avengers, I think they'll showcase some tech here. This ride has an all-new story, and I think Imagineering will want to emphasize again that this isn't just a remake of the 1995 Indiana Jones adventure, even though that's a perfect ride. And showing off some of the new tech or effects could go a long way there. I think we'll get official names for the attractions, and I think we'll get an opening season for the Tropical Americas land, which I'm pegging for summer 2027. Disney World just loves debuting something new in the summer if they can help it. Monsters Inc. Hollywood Studios has the first ever Monsters Inc. land complete with a door vault roller coaster, currently being built in the former Muppet Courtyard. Disney actually left a clue in their blog post announcing the story for the land, which is Monstropolis is welcoming humans in for the first time for Human Day. Short for Humans Understand Monsters Are Nice. But that's not the whole story because they even released this special edition of the Monstropolis horn. And look really closely at those top two items. They both say they're on page 8, column 15, aka 815, aka August 15th, the exact date of the Disney Experiences showcase. So I think these two headlines are clues for what they'll announce here. First, local restaurants comment on new menu development. I think this is a strong sign that we'll get major announcements about the food coming to the land. They've already confirmed Harryhausen's, the fancy sushi restaurant Mike goes on a date to. Think Monster Sushi, which seems like Disney's culinary department could have a lot of fun with. And the movie shows Harryhausen's as a really fun and dynamic environment. I think the hardest reservation to get in the movie has the potential to be the hardest reservation to get at Hollywood Studios if they nail that feeling. And then I think we'll find out what's replacing Pizza Rizzo. Based on this building's track record, my money's on Monster Pizza. And Pizza Rizzo? Hold on to that thought. The second headline, Glob Show begins rehearsals. The Glob is the Monstropolis name of the theater that is in the former Muppet Vision building. So I think we'll finally find out what the mystery monster show coming to the Glob is. For me, that attraction is the biggest question mark about this new land. And I don't think it's just laugh floor because Disney has described this as a new show. But Glob is a play on Shakespeare's Globe Theater. Maybe it's Mike Wazowski performing a Midsummer Night's Scream. But I do think the show gives Disney latitude to close down Laugh Floor in Magic Kingdom and do something new there in Tomorrowland. Hold on to that thought too. I actually don't think we'll see much new about the coaster, because Disney's shown a lot about that previously, with the model of the track layout and the vertical lift at the beginning. But I do think we'll get an opening timeline for Monstropolis, which I'm predicting is 2028. Next up, we have two big lands at Magic Kingdom that Disney announced at last D23, both of which are already under construction. There's Piston Peak, the Cars land that replaces Tom Sawyer Island in Frontierland, aka Nissan Frontierland. And last year, Disney released a fun map that showed the national park's theme and really turned me around on the prospect of this expansion. With the rock work, the water, and the blend of natural environments Disney showed and talked about, I think this could be a stunning land. Basically a cross between Radiator Springs and Grizzly Peak at California Adventure. But that's based on a fun map, a bit of concept art, and a written description. What I'm hoping for is new art that shows this direction more fully. Because I'm on board and buckled up for the concept as described, now it's just about the execution. But Disney announced two attractions for this land. We know the first one is a rally race, but the other one is a mystery. Disney says that one is one that can be enjoyed by all ages. I have no clue what that ride will be, but I think we'll find out at D23. But I also predicted that same thing last year, so who knows. And then Villains Land. When Disney announced it 2 years ago, they said it would have two attractions. And last year, Disney talked about the modernism and Art Nouveau influences in what they call conjured architecture, a design language that creates buildings that feel cursed. Earlier this year, The Wrap reported that Josh D'Amaro told Imagineers to go back to the drawing board and go bigger and bolder with their vision, but also that the tone has shifted to more family-friendly. That article said the reference point went from Dark Universe, the creepy movie Monsters Land at Epic Universe, to Isle of Berk, the brighter How to Train Your Dragon land. But my friend Drew Smith, aka Drew the Disney Dude, came out with a video a few weeks ago reporting that the vision for the land hasn't changed. So rumors for this land are all over the place, and I've ranged anywhere from an Emperor's New Groove coaster, to a Maleficent coaster, to a Maleficent boat ride, to a Hades dinner show, and even a third ride that's possibly an Ursula spinner. And for that last one, please no. But I think Disney is going to really clarify what this land is, what those two attractions are. In the concept art, one of them is a roller coaster, and rumors have been consistent on coaster. But I think we'll find out what that second ride is, and if there's a third ride. And also, most importantly, what the tone of the land is. And this is the trickiest and most important thing Disney needs to nail. Because like I said in my video covering the Wrap's report, Dark Universe was never going to be the right tone for Villains Land. Because Disney villains are also bright and colorful and loud and funny. But also, How to Train Your Dragon is definitely not the tone either. That's too bright, too optimistic, too earnest. Villains needs an edge that hasn't really existed in Magic Kingdom. And I think if they go too family-friendly, it will be a mistake. But it's still Disney villains. It needs to feel somehow dangerous and fun at the same time. Will Disney hit that tone? I think we'll get a better idea with more concept art of the land from the ground level. Now, before we go to the wildcard predictions, there's one more major project Disney announced at last year's Destination D23, the revamp of Carousel of Progress, which at first was announced as adding a Walt Disney animatronic to the first scene. And a few weeks ago, I reported how Disney is changing the entire ride, updating the timeline for every single scene. Instead of turn of the 20th century, 1920s, 1940s, and present day, the family will start things off in 1969 during the moon landing. And then we'll go to Halloween in the 1980s, then New Year's Eve Y2K, and finally a John Hench-inspired, far-flung future that's off-planet. The final scene is finally not getting outdated anytime soon. But not everything's changing. The family, the dog, the Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow song, and Uncle Orville will all still be there. And I would bet Uncle Orville will still be saying,
No privacy at all around this flight.
Thanks, Orville. Now, the showcase is themed to Carousel of Progress. We'll probably have NPH singing Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow, and I think Disney will share more details about the new scenes, like concept art, props, and effects. I also think we might get news about the new voice cast. Disney hasn't said anything, but they'll need all new voices for these all new scenes. Based off of the previous Rex Allen and Gene Shepard versions, I think they'll go with a household name. And D23 seems like a good time to trot out a few celebrities on stage. For me, Tom Hanks just feels right for Dad, but Sarah now takes center stage for the first time, so I think they'll pick a big name for her too. Maybe Holly Hunter, to pick another Pixar voice actor. So that's everything that's been announced for Disney World. What are my wildcard predictions? First, Disney has a mystery building under construction next to Haunted Mansion. I'm predicting that this will be a version of Haunted Mansion Parlor from Disney Cruise Line. Now, you might say, do we really need another theme bar at Disney World? To which I say, you obviously haven't been in Haunted Mansion Parlor. It's one of the best spaces Imagineering has ever created. And they pack a lot of details and effects in a relatively small space on the Disney Treasure and Disney Destiny cruise ships. On land, Disney could do a bigger multi-room Haunted Mansion Parlor or even restaurant that could fit more guests and feature an expanded menu with food. And Magic Kingdom has already done something very similar to this with Beacon Barrel next to Pirates. So Haunted Mansion Parlor here just makes too much sense. Look, I have no inside info into Disney's plans whether or not this will happen, but I just need it to. And I feel like if I talk about it enough, it just might materialize. Next wildcard has to do with the Muppets, because there's a lot of Muppet buzz happening around D23. And no, I don't think Muppet Vision is coming back, but I do think Pizza Rizzo is. Pizza Rizzo has been getting a lot of play lately, from a ton of Easter eggs in Rock and Roller Coaster to the cover of a Spider-Man comic book. This wrap pizza has the juice. The whole Sunset Boulevard food court near Rock and Roller Coaster should be Muppetified, including a Pizza Rizzo Express. I also think we might get a bonus track for Rock and Roller Coaster, maybe a Christmas tune. Disney teased bonus tracks earlier this year. The next wildcard prediction. Disney continues its strategy with refreshing classic attractions. We've seen it in action with Rock and Roller Coaster, Big Thunder Mountain, Country Bear Jamboree, Buzz Lightyear Test Track, Millennium Falcon, and very soon the Magic of Disney Animation, and next year, Carousel of Progress. Pretty strong pattern. Disney has given each of these attractions significant refreshes, and so far the track record for the updates that have opened has been great. As I said in my review of this year's slate of updates, it's a savvy strategy to complement the big expansions like Cars and Villains Land, because it renews guest interest and utilizes existing capacity in really smart ways. So what classics could use a refresh next? One I've had my eye on for a while is Space Mountain. That ride is over 50 years old, and it still has its original track. So it's very much due for a track replacement, or maybe more. A rumor reported by WDW Magic says Disney is planning a massive rebuild of the Magic Kingdom coaster, saying that the plans go well beyond a standard refresh. But how much will change? Possibilities here range from familiar to extreme. On the familiar end, we could see Space Mountain get the Big Thunder treatment. That just reopened with a new track, enhanced show scenes, and effects. So same ride layout, just an upgraded, smoother, more modern experience. On the extreme end, we can actually see what that would look like in Tokyo. They completely demolished their Space Mountain to build an entirely new one for $460 million, including a new state-of-the-art track manufactured by Intamin. That's slated to open next year. Now, I don't see Disney World going that extreme, but a new track layout with modern tricks sounds really compelling. Now, a refresh like this would take a long time, and Disney could also update the People Mover at the same time, maybe adding in some more scenes during the stretch through Space Mountain. I'd also like to see the People Mover vehicles get a small update, like adding a lighting package at night, like they did with the monorails. That could just add a cool kinetic element to Tomorrowland at night. And if Buzz just got refreshed and Carousel is getting updated, and then you add in Space Mountain and possibly the People Mover, well, that's most of the way there to a complete Tomorrowland overhaul. They've slowly been updating the look of Tomorrowland, but if it's happening at Disneyland, maybe they'll go more full overhaul at Disney World too. Monsters Inc. Laugh Floor and Tomorrowland Speedway are going to be ripe for replacement once Monsters Inc. and Cars open. And Stitch's Great Escape is just sitting there doing nothing but smell like haunted chili dog burps. I think the lowest hanging fruit here is Laugh Floor, so if anything is announced, my guess is that. But Stitch and Tomorrowland Speedway, Disney could do a lot with that real estate. But Magic Kingdom isn't the only park with classics that really need an update. At Epcot, there are three obvious candidates. Spaceship Earth, which had its overhaul indefinitely delayed. A Test Track 3.0 style update could be welcome here. The Play Pavilion is still on pause, so Disney could announce something new for the Wonders of Life building, like a combo of physical health with Baymax and mental health with Inside Out. That makes a lot of sense here. But I'm not predicting those. I'm predicting something much bigger for me personally. The announcement I've been hoping for decades. and I think would be a Villains Land level announcement for hardcore Disney World fans and Epcot nerds alike. Of course, I'm talking about a brand new journey into imagination with Figment. Once again, Rafiki,
it is time!
Figment is still insanely popular, but his ride is a sad shadow of its old self. I say bring back Dreamfinder, use all this new tech and old school illusions to make a visually stunning ride that sparks the imagination like the original. And finally, I think as part of this announcement, Disney will have one more surprise. Which brings me to my final prediction section. New free roaming robots, both for Disney World and abroad. And because I love animatronics and robots so much and cover them so much on this channel, it deserves its own section. First, I think the Olaf robot will come to Disney World. There's a Frozen ride there, so it makes sense. Plus, I think he'll get added to the Arendelle dinner show on the Disney Wish. Disney's teased bringing Olaf to DCL. But I think we'll also get brand new robots, because so far each of these have taken about 3 to 6 months for Disney to develop. And Disney first showed off Olaf last November, so I wouldn't be surprised if we see multiple new robots. Here's 2 I would predict. In Paris, I think we'll get a free roaming Simba at Disney Adventure World. Disney's been testing and teasing quadruped robots, and Lion King makes a lot of sense for that. And you know who's little and cute like Olaf? Figment. I think we'll have a free roaming Figment as part of the Imagination Redo announcement. Like, he can interact with guests while the ride is closed. And you know, I've predicted the Imagination overhaul so many years that maybe I'm just Charlie Brown trying to kick the football. And this year I'm gonna whiff again. But one of these years has to be the one, right? So why not this year? But do you have any predictions for D23? Let me know. This has been James Grosh from Guide to WDW. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you real soon.